Hello, the name is Regis Kilvin, and the game is Heroes of the Storm. And today I'm going to take a look at Cho, from the new hero Cho'Gall. If you're unfamiliar with Cho'Gall, well, shame on you, first off. Secondly, this is the craziest hero in MOBA history. It's actually one hero that is played via two players. Each head goes to a different player. Today I'm taking a look at the left head, which is Cho, since each hero does have their own abilities and talents. I want to take a first impressions look at each of them individually. So Cho is up first, and in this video we're going to take a look at his abilities, see if we can learn how those work and how good they might be, and then also break down each of his talents and discuss just kind of general strategy for the big two-headed ogre Cho'Gall. So let's take a look at his stats up first, because I think that's pretty interesting. Cho'Gall doesn't use mana, you'll note. That's very neat, especially given the cooldowns aren't too crazy long on his abilities. But more importantly, his health total is 8,092, which is crazy. Most heroes at level 20 are roughly about 4,000 on average, and even the biggest tanks are about 52 to 5,400. So he's looking at essentially two full health pools, or more accurately, a 5,000 health for a tank, which is Cho, and about 3,000 health for his assassin side, which is Gall. So that adds up pretty interestingly. Now he does have I don't know how you use these abilities, but they list them here. Hurry up, oaf. Oh, I think those are abilities that Gall can use, yeah, to kind of influence the movement of Cho. So we'll probably see those in our other videos. So stick around and look in the description for a first impressions look at Gall. But for now, I don't think we get to take a look at those. So let's look at his trait up first. It's just called Two-Headed. Gall is permanently attached to you, going where you go. So right now I guess that's controlled by an NPC. I don't really know how this works in try mode. For the rest of his abilities, his Q is Surging Fist, 13-second cooldown. Wind up for at least 1 second, temporarily slowing yourself, then reactivate to charge in a direction. Enemies in your path are knocked aside and take 101 damage. So 101 damage is virtually nothing at level 20. It's not a damage ability, so the knockback must be pretty powerful. The load up animation on this is really intriguing. You have a load up, and then you've got essentially a countdown. You have to cast it within. Alright, I'm not seeing the knockback just yet. Maybe I'm not quite at range. Oh, there we go, okay. So that's cool. It's a little bit of a peel ability. It's going to take some work to finally control that, but I can see some utility there. Every 13 seconds, you don't get to use it that often, but it's not bad. His W, Consuming Blaze, 12-second cooldown, ignite nearby enemies, dealing 294 damage over 4 seconds. If this hits an enemy, gain 596 health over 4 seconds. So that's it if it hits an enemy. I don't think that's per enemy, just if it does or not. It's a toggle on-off. There's no additive nature, no extra healing for multiple enemies. So let's see this in action. We're going to take some damage. Okay, so that worked against minions and presumably heroes as well. Enemies is the correct form of that. 294 damage again is not a lot. Even every 12 seconds, it's not all that useful. It's a little bit of damage, but not significant. It's about the same as an auto attack. But the 600 health heal is notable. That's not too bad. That'll add up if you have a healer. So, but really, if you think about this, this is anytime you talk about health, you're talking about 2 characters worth of health. It's really healing 2 people for about 300 health. It's slightly better, but still not that meaningful. So let's take a look at his E. This is called Rune Bomb. It has an 8-second cooldown. Roll a bomb, dealing 200 damage to enemies in its path. And then Gall can use Runic Blast to detonate it to deal 600 damage in an area. So 600 damage in an area is pretty nuts. Let's see if this bot will trigger. He did not trigger it. I don't know if he's smart enough to trigger it for us. So far he's not. But even 200 damage is alright if it whiffs, if your guy's asleep. If they do 200 damage and then 6 turns, talking about 800 damage to multiple people, that's nuts. Especially every 8 seconds. This is definitely the core ability in the Cho'Gall set, it looks like. That can really, really add up. That's scary. If you hit a whole team for 600 damage, you're doing work. I don't know how big the area of effect is, though, because our robot is not playing along. I guess you'll have to tune into the Gall First Impressions video to see that particular one in action. So, let's take a look at Cho's auto attacks. I didn't see those. They hit for 265 at level 20. Attacks per second is 0.91, so not pretty average. Nothing noteworthy there. If anything, a little slow. Pretty slow. So, okay, the auto attacks aren't bad. I don't believe Gall gets to auto attack, so that's not much if you split it over 2 heroes once again. I know they had to very carefully tune the numbers on Cho'Gall to make him feel balanced and safe, otherwise he could be very scary. So until I see him in a game, I won't really know how all these numbers feel. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the talents on Cho'Gall. Level 1, specifically on Cho. Surging Dash increases Surging Fist's range and speed by 25%. So its range now is pretty short. Speed felt fine. Let's see what it looks like here with. Okay, that's a little faster and a little more range. I don't think that's that great.
Choose a talent.
I don't think that's a key ability for Cho. In every 12 seconds, you're really not doing all that much. Blazing Bulwark. Consuming Blaze grants you 1 stack of block when you hit an enemy hero, up to 10. Block reduces damage taken from enemy basic attacks by 50%. So alright, this is block with kind of a condition. Consuming Blaze grants you 1 stack of block when you hit an enemy hero, up to 10. So I guess if you hit the entire enemy team, you get 5 stacks of block, which is pretty nice given the likelihood that you could hit at least 2 or 3, which makes it very similar to a normal block. And block's a reasonable talent to take most of the time as a tank. So if you got 5, this would be really, really valuable. So in hectic team fights or choke points on a map where you can hit multiple people, I think that's going to be really, really good. Let's see what's left. Fuel for the Flame. Gathering a regeneration globe increases your next consuming blaze heal by 50%. So it's 600 right now, so it would make it a 900 point heal. That's really strong, but I don't know how often that's going to trigger. In the middle of team fights, you're not often grabbing regen globes, so that could be really good for sustaining in the early game, I admit, but I think the utility on Fuel for the Flame is really going to die out as you enter the mid to late game. So I think Blazing Bulwark is going to give you the most average value from a defensive tanky standpoint compared to the other two. I'm going to stick with Blazing Bulwark for now. I really don't like any of these talents, by the way. These two are so conditional that it makes me nervous they're never going to trigger since it's all based on abilities. Surging Dash is just a nice flat bonus, but I don't think that this ability is that good. It just has such a long load up time. It's awkward to use, and the knockback effect is marginal and the damage is very low. So Surging Dash just feels awful. Level 4 talents, Runed Gauntlet. Rune Bomb increases your next basic attack by 75%. So let's refresh these forts. Written for 265. I don't know that I'm... Oh, I gotta select the talent, you idiot. 265, and then 464. So it's a 200 damage bonus every 8 seconds. That's not that bad, I guess. I don't know how easy it's going to be to auto attack with Cho. His attack range is decent, but
of course. Well, I don't want to.
I think that's just kind of like a focused attack, basically, with an interesting condition. Let's take a look at rollback. Rune Bomb now returns to you, damaging enemies in its path. So it's going to go all the way down there. Oh, did it again. Whoa, okay. I kind of like that. It gives your Gall like a second chance, right? If he forgets to trigger it or he misses, if he knows that you've selected that talent, you can do some pretty neat things with blowing up the bomb. And essentially that's going to make Rune Bomb a 400 damage ability, right? It does damage both times. 200, 200. So against minion waves, that's going to be strong. It's like bowling for minions. I think that's a strong talent. So let's take a look at
Choose a talent.
Seared Flesh. Basic attacks against targets inflicted by Consuming Blaze deal 25% more damage. So let's written for 265 normally. We gotta pick the talent. I'll learn that someday. 331. So really a very minimal difference. I don't think Frenzied Fist is good, especially because on the Cho side of things, you're really going to have to build tanky for survivability, so a little extra auto attack damage here and there doesn't seem particularly valuable to me. So
Choose a talent.
I think that I like rollback here, just generally gives you more options, especially as a team. So let's move on to level 7, Power Surge. Reduces the initial delay of Surging Fist by 50%, and it's 100% wider. Okay, so that was the delay before. Well, that's definitely better. This makes the ability feel more reasonable to me. Did not seem like the knockback really was any farther, though. It's just more likely to hit people, but the knockback didn't seem better. Yeah, I don't think it increases the knockback if they're centered. It doesn't push them to the outside of the area of the effect. The knockback remains the same, but just the amount of people impacted by the knockback increases, so it's not that strong.
Choose a talent.
Let's also take a look at Fire Eater. Basic attacks against targets inflicted with Consuming Blaze heal you for 50% of the damage dealt. Now that sounds better for a tanky character. I don't think that works. We have to hit it on minions. It's on enemies, yeah. So I'm not yet. Gotta pick the talent, dude. So that's healing for 132. That's not too bad. Reminds me of something like Arthas' Rune Tap, kinda. It's a conditional heal. I think Fire Eater has potential. That's just going to give you that extra survivability, which is nice. The problem is that you have to hit somebody with Consuming Blaze, and then you have to stick to them in auto attack as well. So I don't know how often that's going to be able to keep going off in a team fight. And the duration for Consuming Blaze is 4 seconds, so you're going to have basically 4 auto attacks to use it on. So it's about a 400-point heal if everything goes right. If it doesn't, it's not going to be that good.
Choose a talent.
So I take it back. I don't know if Fire Eater's good or not. Finally, there's Frenzied Fist. If Surging Fist hits an enemy hero, it increases the attack speed of your next 2 attacks by 50%. That just doesn't sound good at all right now to me. I can already tell you. I don't like that. Well, they got blocked, but you could see me swinging a little faster there. Again, I don't think any talent that focuses on auto attack damage for Cho is going to make sense for him. I actually think Power Surge is the best talent here just because it makes your Q decent, and I don't think it's decent otherwise. So I'm going to stick with Power Surge. That may actually make Surging Dash a little bit better, but probably still not better than these defensive talents. And now Heroics. At level 10, we're going to take a look at Hammer of Twilight. Cooldown 15 seconds. That's really, really low. Passively increases your basic attack damage by 25%. Activate to swing the hammer to deal 376 damage. Push enemies away and stun them for 3/4 of a second. So that sounds awesome. Decent damage. Stun. You get a cool looking hammer too. Wow, that's cool looking. Okay, so yeah, I activate it. So that's just a general default buff to your auto attacks. So we went from 265 to 331. Plus we get that cool effect. That's awesome. So I only get to use that, I guess, every 15 seconds. Yeah. Alright, every 15 seconds. That's still pretty powerful. Nice AoE stun that does a lot of damage. And you get a general attack increase. I like passive stuff a lot. I think Hammer of Twilight's really, really good. Let's see
Choose a talent.
what Upheaval looks like. Now, what I've seen in the videos of this, it looked a little awkward about how it pulled stuff. Oh, so it basically creates like a symmetrical mirror image. Wherever they're at on this side, they move to on the other side. That's pretty cool. I need to, so if he's farther away, does he move even? Oh no, I see, okay, so it basically just moves them back a set distance. If, you know, if they're here, they move to here. If they're here, they move to here. So it just grabs them like 15 meters or something. It also slows them for 3 seconds by 25%, so that's notable. And does a minuscule amount of damage, 110 damage, nobody cares about that. That's awfully good PL, crowd control. Man, that's... Upheaval's probably better than Hammer of Twilight. It's a little delayed. He's got the charge up on the fist, but the cone is so wide that you could really secure some kills with this. That's a really powerful ult. In fact, it's one of the best crowd control ults in the game, I think. Upheaval's very strong. I think that'll be my default pick. Alright, so level 13, Runic Feedback. Gall's Runic Blast reduces your Rune Bomb cooldown by 1 second per enemy hit. So this one is all about your teammate. So when you cast this, if our NPC would blow it up, and we would hit, say, 5 people, then we would get a 5-second cooldown. We will do it again after 3 seconds. So a really organized duo with a good aimed rune bomb thrower. So if your Cho's good at aiming and your Gall's good timing, you could have really rapid cooldowns on rune bomb. Just bowling all day over and over again. Wouldn't quite look like this, but you could do some crazy stuff. That's, if you trust your Gall, that's a strong talent, I think. I Am Hurrying increases the duration of Gall's Hurry Up Oath by 1 second, and it no longer fades over time. So that's this. Gall can activate to give us a sprint, essentially, for 3 seconds. This makes it a full 60% sprint for the duration, which now becomes 4 seconds instead of 3 seconds. So it's just like a little boost to your escape viability, but it's all about the Gall. I think that's going to be harder to sync up and utilize, and Runic Feedback seems to have too much potential for I Am Hurrying to be good. But then there's Molten Black, cooldown 60 seconds. Activate to place yourself in stasis and gain invulnerability for 3 seconds, damaging nearby enemies for 202 damage per second. So this is just a fancy looking, really cool looking ice block that does AoE damage. Let's see that in action. All those cooldowns. Just 101. Alright, I think that's pretty interesting. Ice Block's a strong talent in general. That one has a nice little upside to it. If you don't trust your Gall or it's a little disorganized, it's not going well, Molten Block is probably the choice. Otherwise, Runic Feedback, I think, is too good to pass up. So level 16, Twilight Veil. Consuming Blaze reduces damage taken from abilities by 50% for 2 seconds per enemy hero hit. Does that mean it could... So if you hit 3 heroes, I guess it's 6 seconds. And that's essentially just a level 16 spell shield that's better if you hit a lot of people. I don't think that the circle's big enough on this that you're going to be hitting more than 2 or 3 people at a time. So it's really not going to be too much better than a standard spell shield. But spell shield's fine. Certain instances, if you're fighting mages, Twilight Veil might be very good. Surge of Stamina. Using Surging Fist grants resistant, reducing all damage taken by 25% for 4 seconds. I actually think that sounds more reliable than Twilight Veil. It reduces basic attack damage and spell damage. It's guaranteed to be 4 seconds. And you don't even have to hit anything. You can just do it anytime. So while you're escaping, for instance, you can use that and get a damage resistant. We can actually see that too. See, we go resistant and get the shield there. I think that's pretty good. You can use it to initiate and gain some survivability against the initial burst from the enemy team, or use it as an escape to give you a little extra life to work with. And then finally, Crippling Blow. Enemies hit by Surging Fist are slowed by 90% for 1.25 seconds.
Choose a talent.
Yikes. I want to see this. Oh, he was barely moving, but man, when he did, you could really see it. Let's get him to run. Let's see if it works here. Oh man, 90% is so crazy. 1.25 seconds is not much, but that's essentially a root almost for almost a second and a half. That's pretty good. I'm starting to see the Surging Fist build coming into fruition now. If you had Surging Fist upgrades and Upheaval, you could really become a crowd control nightmare. And since you have Gall doing all the damage for you, you can just focus on being a huge body blocking, just fat meat shield that's throwing people around and getting in the way and soaking up tons of damage. I think that's viable in a Surging Fist build. Generally, I think Surge of Stamina is, well, that's also Surging Fist, potentially. But by default, I would go Surge of Stamina, but Crippling Blow, it's really intriguing as well. And then finally, level 20, Sithun's Gift. Your basic attacks become ranged and slows target by 20% for 2 seconds. Wow, so you're getting like a Jaina slow on your basic attacks, like a pretty standard level 20 auto attack upgrade for some heroes. But let's actually, we need to pick the other ultimate here to see Sithun's Gift in action. So our auto attacks are ranged. What is the range? Alright, so it's not a full hero range, I don't think, but still, a ranged warrior is intriguing. You could really do some poke. You can still get around like this too, if needed. Kind of kite people. I think that's okay. 20% slow is also just really nice. But I don't know if I'm willing to give up Upheaval. So what's the upgrade here? Favor of the Old Gods. Upheaval grants you resistant, reducing your damage taken by 50% for 5 seconds. Wow, I like that a lot. That's like a mini spell shield built into your ult. And I already love Upheaval, so this is like a free bonus. So you pull people in, they're going to start hitting you, and you're not taking hardly any damage because you are resistant, right? Yeah, this is pretty good. See that body blocking? Like, that's scary. I'm starting to like Cho. I don't know if the Cho'Gall combo is going to be any good, but Cho is a pretty fun kit. So let's take a look at that last level 20 talent. It is the Will of Gall. Gall can activate Will of Gall to make you unstoppable for 2 seconds. I don't think that's going to be particularly useful. It's going to be hard to test here because of the bot, but I think really, really high level players will take advantage of that, but I think it's just going to be too hard to sync up and not that useful, and the duration is so short that it doesn't feel good compared to these other two options. So that's it for Cho. We've seen his abilities in action. We've seen his talents. Have we seen his dance? Now we've seen his dance. So what does his taunt look like? That's pretty boring. Unfortunately, I can't show you his cute mount. Oh, that is not intended, I think. That's pretty cute, though. He's actually running on his mount. So I'm glad we tried that. Alright. Anyway, that's it for our look at Cho. He's pretty intriguing. This is definitely the coolest character that's ever been added to a MOBA. Up next, we're going to take a look at Gall, see how our first impressions of Gall go. So do check the descriptions for that video as well. Thanks so much for watching. Have fun out there playing Cho and Gall. And until next time, game on.